Hello and welcome to Empowered the Podcast. I am your host, Linda Brand. I am a certified life coach. I'm a mom, a dog mom, and someone who overcame a lot of challenges in my life. I've been on the journey a long time, and I created this podcast so I could help as many people as I can. It is my intention with this podcast is to help you, inspire you, and motivate you to believe that you can have, be, and do anything you desire. This podcast is about abundance, spirituality, health, and wellness, because let's face it, without your health, you have nothing. This podcast is about you becoming a better you. So let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to Empowered the Podcast. I'm your host, Linda Brand. If you are new to the podcast, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. I know that everybody has so many things that we can listen to, so it means a lot to me that you are here listening. I love that you're here. And if you are an existing listener, thank you for your loyalty. Thank you for coming back. Today is part 2 with Makhosi, the Royal Shaman. It was such a juicy conversation. If you didn't listen to part 1, go back and listen. This is part 2, and I'm super excited to bring you the rest of the interview and just share this powerful information with you. You know, this is not new information. This is information that goes back many, 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 many years. And I think it's incredible. And I love bringing this powerful content to you so you can implement it into your life. Also, I am a coach, an empowerment coach, a dream builder coach. I have my free dream builder workshops. If you are open to that, check the show notes for links for that. I have some freebies on my website. I have a free money affirmations audio. I have a free self-love guide. I have a lot of content if you go to lindabrandcoach.com. And the newest thing is my Shopify account with my personally created empowerment clothing and accessories. So please go check that out too. I am so grateful for you guys to be here listening to the show. It means so much to me. I love my podcast. I love having a podcast. It has brought me so much. If you are thinking of starting a podcast, reach out to me because I do support new podcasters. And I also have a side business where I promote you on other podcasts. So if you are looking to get on other podcasts, you can reach out to me at lindabrandcoaching@gmail.com in the process of creating a page for that business. So without any further ado, let's get back to the Royal Shaman's interview. Let's touch on the death thing really quick because I study A Course in Miracles once a week on Sundays with a couple people. And yesterday, the guy showed up and I said, yeah, I didn't hear from Judy. Usually Judy emails, she died Friday. And she's, really sad. And I was like, and we study the Course in Miracles. It says we're all spiritual, energetic beings having human experience. When we die, we're not really, it's just we leave our bodies. So she's probably here. And I mean, I didn't know her that long, but I was still like, just shocked. She was 79. I didn't realize how old she was, but I'm just sharing because I mean, I've been trying to talk to her a little bit and I've been like processing it and just in awe. And tell us what you love talking about death. What are your thoughts on what I just shared? I mean, it's like she's in a better place. I'm like, she's no longer having the human experience of suffering, which we do tend to, as humans, experience some suffering.
Yeah, I actually don't. So here's what I will differ with A Course of Miracles. So let me backtrack for a second. Just for where my perspective is coming from. Many of the teachings that we have right now come from still the foundation of a religious basis that can filter over into creating a sense of solace that helps us to feel good. There's spirituality for growth and there's spirituality for solace. And why I like to talk about death, many reasons, is that yes, it can be helpful for us to have that solace, peace, but also one of the things that I think is really that we want to be careful of with the idea of there being better than here. Sometimes we unknowingly sacrifice here, sacrifice how good it can be here
Yeah. Yeah.
because we keep waiting for heaven on the other side. When, from a spiritual perspective, on the other side, like we want to be here.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
want to be
Oh, really? Okay.
in human bodies because, okay, because everything in this reality is really about this ever-growing change and evolution. And here in this physical realm, we get to experience a lot of change and a lot of growth and a lot of evolution in a very short quote unquote time, right? So for a soul, this space is actually really exciting to be in, and being human is a really beautiful, amazing thing. And also, we don't disappear on the other side because energy is never destroyed. It's just transformed.
Yeah.
The other thing that I find interesting about death is like it's the one thing that we all have in common, and we are all scared to talk about it, terrified of the experience of it. Like we
Sure.
resist it so much, like we just deny it.
Hmm.
But I personally have found through my own close encounters with potentially losing my life and um, loved ones passing on. I feel like there's so much benefit that we can have if we live our lives from our deathbed.
I love it. I do. I just want to say, I'll let you finish, but I want to say, like, I do believe we're here for joy. I do know I'm supposed to be having fun here. And I do, it's just, it's thoughts and things like that. But I do enjoy my life too. Like, I do agree with what you were saying. Like, it's a playground and we can have fun here and all that. But okay. So back to what you were just now saying.
Yeah, living our life from our deathbed. So there's a great book that speaks about the title is slipping from me, but it's like the 5 regrets of the dying, something like that. I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
that might be the specific title or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Love it.
in the 5 regrets of the dying, it was so profound to me that there were these common patterns of people being close to death, looking back on their life, and the things that they were regretting were not the things that most of us are focusing and centering our lives around. We are getting caught up in things that don't matter and then getting to the end of our lives and regretting that we didn't prioritize those.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so my perspective is like, what if we actually started living our life now from that place? Meaning, if you were on your deathbed looking back at the decisions that you were making right now, would you be regretting what you're doing?
Right.
And a lot of people would be regretting, or
Yeah.
they would be regretting that they took so long to move on what they truly desired or to go after the thing that they were afraid they were going to fail on,
Mhm.
or not prioritizing the people in their lives that really mattered most to them, right? And so much of my work now comes from that place of like, having the understanding that life can be beautiful now, that doesn't mean that we won't experience challenges, but that we can give ourselves permission to create heaven on earth in
Mm-hmm.
our own lives.
Amen.
And that when we do that, we will be able to experience our greatest fulfillment and love and joy and bliss, or as I call it, euphoria. And that also there are ways that we can do that, which ultimately benefit others, that are impactful and expansive and a gift for other people. And that if we go to the other side and there's heaven on the other side, that's going to be a cherry on the top, that we don't have to suffer and sacrifice everything now in hope of some reward later.
Yeah.
I just believe in a both and universe, that it can be good here and it can also be good
Yeah.
there on the other side too.
Yeah, exactly. Um, let's go back to the money piece real quick.
Yeah.
Because that's like if I live from my deathbed, like Tracy Litt, one of my people, she'll say, we're not getting out of here alive. So
You know Tracy?
yeah, I went, are you friends with her?
I am. So we were just we're both in the trust mastermind. So I was just with her in Arizona like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I went to see
Yes.
her in Palm Beach. I love her so much. She's like soul sister, like, oh my gosh. When I met her, when I found her, I was like, that's it. She's my person. But anyway, I went to Palm Beach and met her at her event capacity like a month ago. But one of the things she always says is, lighten up. We're not getting out alive, right? She always says that, lighten up because we're not getting out alive. And I love that. It's true. But like the money piece, that has been, that's a thing, right? Because I would be in Arizona actually, or I would be, these different things that I would do. But like, how does that play into doing all of this? Like, because we live in the 3D and there's money and we need it. And
We do. We do only need it because we've all agreed on the illusion that we need it, right? As a shaman, I am very practical and hold the perspective that we can be spiritual and also enjoy the material realm, the material plane, which can be wealth as a part of that. But one of the things that I think is important that we understand is that money itself is just a tool. It is a tool that can be used positively or it can be used negatively. And we often give so much power over to money because we think that it is the gateway to everything. When in actuality, we are the gateway to everything. Money is just a tool to help us experience more of reality. And often, what's so funny when I work with people around money is that often the things that we actually want from money don't even require it.
mm,
Like, most of us think we want the money because of what we think we will feel as a result of having the thing that money gets us, right?
right.
But that's backwards, actually. It's actually by allowing ourselves to feel what we think we will get from the money that we open up the ability to create more. So let's talk about this in terms of business, where business is one of the most common ways that we can create money or allow ourselves to receive more of it in exchange. Many of us think, when I have XYZ 7-figure business, then I will have the freedom, the feeling is freedom, to travel the world, spend time with my family, et cetera, et cetera. But the truth is that if you don't build that 7-figure business from the frequency of freedom, then you will do what so many of my clients have done, which is create a business that now does not grant them any freedom because they didn't build it with freedom, right?
Mm,
So you want to pay attention to what is it, what is the feeling, what is the frequency that I think I'm going to get from the money?
mm,
And then what feels like that now, right? What feels like freedom in my business right now? Does that look like having the freedom to work in interesting locations? Well, that's actually pretty simple. You could just like get your computer and you go and you find an interesting location, whether it's like a botanical garden or, you know, a unique coffee shop or whatever, and you build that into the business as you are creating it, as you are structuring it. And that, imagine being in that frequency of like, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded by this beautiful botanical garden, and you're putting that frequency into your work.
mhm,
That makes it magnetic.
mm,
That makes it more profound,
yeah.
right? And so that actually makes it easier to make the money versus having the expectation that when I have the money, then I will get the thing that I want.
Mhm, mhm,
That's the energetic component. But also the other piece that is just really important, especially for women, is to understand and begin to separate the understanding of value in the business marketplace and separate that from your value as a human being, your
mhm,
value as a woman, your value as a person, because this value is limitless. And oftentimes the mistake that keeps women from making the money that they should is that they tie their their personhood to the value in the business.
right.
And so that can look like devaluing yourself, right? Because you have a limitless value.
Yeah,
And then you're devaluing yourself because, oh, a client said no, or you launched something that didn't sell, right?
yeah,
And then you take it personally.
yeah.
So that's another aspect that I just see um, holds a lot of women back from making the kind of money that they really could and ascending to the levels of wealth and prosperity that are possible for them just because um, they are experiencing everything in the business as a reflection of who they are as a person, as
Mhm,
like a personal attack
yeah.
or a personal lifting up.
I want to remind you of my free vision workshop, which is held every single month live. You can check the show notes to find out when the next one is held. You will learn 3 key secrets to achieving success in your life. I also have a pre recorded webinar. You can choose that as well. As a dream builder coach, it's my job to help you achieve your dream. So do yourself a favor and grab a spot in the next free workshop. You'll thank me later. Yeah, very, very true. Um, Thank you for that. Thank you so much for those. That is so beautiful. I know that the Abraham Hicks kind of teaches that as well, as far as the frequency and the energetics, where you want to feel, that secure now, and you can have these feelings now. Even Tony Robbins would say those things, like the only reason we want anything is because we think we're going to have a feeling. The reason we want the sports car, we have the beautiful home, whatever it is this feeling, and we can choose our thoughts and choose to feel that way today. And so I love that. And then the identifying ourselves or worthiness piece is so huge too. And I think that was part of what I was watching some of your videos and your YouTubes is around that, where we were, setting ourselves up with these high expectations, and then things would not come to fruition, and then you're feeling shame or bad about yourself or your self-esteem goes down. I mean, oh my gosh. The
Yeah. Just think about, so I actually in college, my plan was med school, but my backup was business because I've always had a business mind. And part of that's past life stuff. Part of that's probably high achiever. I don't know. But I actually have 2 degrees, one in marketing management and one in business that I got alongside pursuing my pre-med prereqs. Ultimate overachiever right there. But one of the things that I realized is why so many men are able to be successful in a way that women, just in general, haven't yet been able to tap into is so much of business is about failing fast and experimenting and learning and refining as you go. And if you think about it, in the beginning, you are trying to find what is really the path of, we'll call it the path of least resistance, meaning the offer, the services, the product, et cetera, that you're putting out there is already desired by people. But if you're believing that the first time you put it out and it's not desired, that you're a failure, and then it takes you another year to get your courage back up to try again, right? That means it's going to take you a really long time, right? To find the thing that is really going to work, because you've got to find a fit, right? You're trying to find what it is that people want that also aligns with your gifts.
Mm,
And that's a process. That has to be a process of experimenting and playfulness. And
yeah.
that's really the energy that you want to bring to it versus like, oh my gosh, if no one buys from me, then I'm a complete failure and I'm not good enough. No,
Mm,
that's not at all what that means, because some of the most ridiculous people, I won't name any names, but I think we all know of very wealthy people who we're just like, how,
yeah.
how, how,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So it isn't about whether you are good enough, whether you are worthy, whether you are smart enough or whatever. It's about you finding and experimenting until you find what is an alignment. And when I'm saying alignment, I don't just mean like fluffy feels good. No, alignment is in the marketplace, there are problems and desires that you can help solve using your innate
Gift.
gifts, skills, talents, and then you're able to bring those two together.
Yeah, that's so interesting you said that because I started booking people on podcasts, and because I have a huge network, and it was like this is the fastest, easiest way I've ever made money. And I was like, maybe there's something here, you know, even though look at your face. I love your
I
face.
would continue exploring that. So, like,
Yes.
I think, especially because of our programming, we think that everything has to be hard. And listen, entrepreneurship is hard by itself. Like, just the ups and downs of it are challenging enough. Don't make it harder by thinking you need to add difficulty. If you
Yeah.
find something where there is some ease externally, and there's just like some internal resistance that you got to work through, that's fine. Do your inner work, right? But
Yeah.
keep going.
Well, thank you. Yeah, what I was thinking was, oh, wait, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach. Like I have value in coaching and teaching and this isn't really, but I'm like, well, I can do both, right? It's a both and. And it's yeah, so and then I love that serving entrepreneurs and women and podcasters and coaches and authors by getting them booked on shows. It's really highest good for all. That's like the real thing about it. Like you're like, go for that it's highest good for all. And I'm in a small business school and she's the one who said, go for that, Linda. Like, yeah, because she sees there's value because people want it, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, thank you. I love that. That is so true. It's like this alignment. It's almost like the ikigai. What does the world need? What are you good at? And what do you love to do?
Yeah.
Right? Those three things.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. I just love this conversation. I could talk to you for hours. I love talking to you. Let's see. Do you want to touch on one more thing before we find out where everybody can find you?
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to touch on your being smart could be blocking our abundance?
Yeah. I love this because since I actually recorded that, I actually heard this shocking statistic that actually the top 1% of wealth holders, at least in the US, have a lower IQ than the top 10%,
Mm,
which is very fascinating because we often think that, oh, it's the intelligence that gets you money, that creates wealth. But in actuality, being smart, holding on to the identity of being the smart person, has so many limitations potentially that can hold us back. Number one that I found, and these are all, some of these are like through my own explorations of thinking that I'm a smart person and like identifying with being smart. The number one thing is that um, from a business perspective, well, really just in general, but wealth is usually made in emotional intelligence. It's really made in the ability to deeply understand other people and being able to connect with other people and really build those relationships. If we think about leadership, even we think of leaders as people who are authentic, who inspire us from how they be themselves, and their ability to be vulnerable. And when I'm saying being vulnerable, I don't mean like their ability to get on camera and cry, because that's not necessarily authentic vulnerability, even, but that they are okay being seen um, in their weakness and they recognize their weakness and accept that they don't know everything, right?
me-
That's what really makes, yes, that's what really makes a leader, right? It isn't just someone who holds a title. It's that empathy, that humanity is what helps us to see someone as a leader. Another reason why being smart can limit us is that we tend to overthink things.
yeah.
When you identify as smart, you tend to add complexity where there doesn't need to be any. And wealth, potential, all of that really comes on how simple, how simple can you make things? That creates efficiency, that creates um, greater levels of value. When things are complex, we shut down, right?
Mhm.
People don't even want complex. So if we get into a pattern where, we're attached to being seen as the smartest, we can unknowingly try to, use words that people don't understand or add 8 million things to our offers that nobody even really wants, but we just want to
Mm.
prove that we are the smartest, that we are the best, that we are, the top. This is why so many of the, smart spaces like the sciences, medicine, etc., have so much jargon,
Mm.
so much lingo. And we can say, oh, that's because there needs to be precision in the language and in the conversation. But actually, a lot of it is just like a feeling of superiority for being,
Isn't that ego? Like a little bit of ego?
it's a lot of ego. Um, and listen, we all have that. I have that as well. One of the things I'm constantly um evolving myself in is like in my writing, because I find that in my writing, I'm like trying to sound intelligent versus being as simple as possible to get the point across. And that doesn't have to mean that I'm watering it down, but it does mean that I get the point across, right? That makes for a good teacher. And
Yeah.
I desire to be a good teacher over being seen as smart. Um, the other
Both
thing that I
and
see,
both and
both and, right? Like
you are smart
you
and
can
you
be
are
smart and also, right,
both.
empathetic and connected and all of the things. The other thing that I just see with smart people with smart people is that um the constant pursuit of credentials,
Oh yes.
constantly feeling like you don't know enough,
Yeah. Another
like
certification, another
you
certification.
need another degree, you need another da 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 da, da, right, to show
Right.
that you are um good enough. And that's not to say that we shouldn't give ourselves permission to get advanced degrees, et cetera, but we've got to understand where that's coming from. Is it because um, we need that? Is it because we genuinely just have a curiosity and a desire to do that? Or is it because we feel like we need that before we can do a thing?
Yeah.
And I use the example of my son, who last year I started homeschooling him and taught him just like the basics of business. And if he, at 10 years old, could use that understanding, he was able to create over $1,000 in his little first business with zero credentials.
Yeah.
Right? Creating wealth is just about seeing seeing problems and seeing desires and finding ways to help solve that and receiving in exchange. That's all that it really requires. And so, yeah, we could talk about that forever. There's a
Yeah.
lot.
That's incredible that your son, how did he make $1,000?
Yeah. So he, at the time, was very much into making these clay figurines um, out. And he'd go, oh, I want to make some money. And so he would take a few, go outside, and just find people to sell to and say, hey, I'm going to make you this custom XYZ. What do you want?
Goodness.
Charge them $5. Um, the most expensive one I think was $50 that he got. But I love that with kids because they just have so much um they have less fear of judgment around being salesy, right?
Yeah.
Or and less scarcity
So
as well.
he's an artist. He's a creator.
Yes.
I mean, clearly.
He's super creative.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah, they are. They're not as afraid of rejection, you know. I
Yeah.
think that's probably part of it. I love talking to you. Like I said, you've shared so much value and beautiful information. So tell everybody, is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
The only thing that I just think is important to say is that we are moving in to an incredible time of opportunity and prosperity, specifically for women,
I think
and
so.
specifically for women over the age of 35. And so I just I just hope that my intention is that more women, even though we see in the world right now, it feels like sometimes there's so much against us, and that there has been so much darkness that's kind of come to the surface that feels like the suppression of women. all of that has been coming up to the surface so that we can deal with it. And that in all of this chaos and darkness and uncertainty, inside of that lies so much potential. And we are really moving into this age where women are here to lead. Women are here to be wealthy and to use the tool of wealth to create better systems, better communities, better families that all of us are going to benefit from. So I hope that any woman that's listening to this that feels that knowing in her heart that that is true, that she gives herself full permission to be that leader, to be that abundant, wealthy woman. Because when you are, we have so much evidence that when women have wealth, the world benefits. So this work is so important to do because we need to have more women leading with wealth.
Absolutely. I love that. I
Yeah.
agree so much. Thank you. Thank you for that. So tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, the best places right now are on Instagram, YouTube, and my website. All of those are the Royal Shaman, and also my podcast, Euphoric Evolution.
Nice. Thank you so much for being here. I loved talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I know you have so many choices of things to listen to. I hope it was valuable to you and you enjoyed it. If it was, please share with someone you think would benefit from listening to it. Also, subscribe so you know when the next episode is. I would love a review. It would mean so much to me to grow this audience and help as many people as possible. So have a wonderful day and live empowered. Till next time, take care.